person he employed. A disused carpet factory was used to recruit and train a raw, inexperienced workforce. John was taking a calculated risk.
All the workforce were all local and knew nothing about producing cars.
There was a lot of scepticism. People kept on referring back to, well, sure, the last time the Northern Irish did a big job was the Titanic, and look what happened to that.
We have never built a car before, and a hell of a lot of the management haven't built a car before. So therefore, it is a learning process for everyone.
I think my past number was 55, I think it was at that time. So I was the 55th employee at that stage.
The very first day that I started in the place, these huge, like, prehistoric monsters, the big earth-moving machines, they were trundling up and down, levelling the land.
When we built that body shop, which was a 177,000 square feet factory, and as the roof was going on, we were designing the production equipment, the layout, and as the roof went on a section, we did the floor with the layout for the conveyors. And this is a completely new process. No one has ever done this before. I can remember during the building phase looking at the size of the buildings and saying, can you ever see this place filled with cars? And quite frankly, it really, I couldn't see it, but I said someday it will be.
In a way, it was nearly like sort of picking some space-age edifice and just planting it down in the middle of Belfast. And there it was, like a giant flying saucer landing on the place.
The whole thing of not only a car plant coming into what was on the periphery of West Belfast, but also something that was totally new, something that was a new technology, something that was in new shape, something that was innovative. It wasn't like another Ford Escort been built. This was something different.
The whole thing was at a most furious rate. Even Ford, at that time when they were asked how long it would take to develop a new car, they mentioned a figure of 5 years. This, to my mind, was one of the most exciting things of the whole project, was the speed that it all happened.
May 1979 brought a new government, and with it new challenges for John DeLorean. Margaret Thatcher didn't believe in government subsidies for industry. It may have been all smiles as John greeted successive ministers, but the Tories were sceptical of John, and he took a dim view of them.
The Thatcher government was not in favour of subsidising manufacturing industry and would look askance at any more money that had to be put in. And yet what were we to do? To have cancelled the thing without good reason would have been devastating, and we couldn't have done it. So we just had to go along with it.
To be honest with you, when I first heard about the project, I had my doubts myself. However, here it is, established in Belfast, providing employment now for 1,000 people, which was going to rise to about twice that figure, a great deal of taxpayers' money behind the car, and therefore all of us are hoping it is a success. We're not putting any more money into it, and we certainly hope to recoup our investment, and from what Mr. DeLorean says, we shall do so.
I think everybody believed in what he was doing. I don't think anybody would have been there unless they did believe. I don't think that was anything to do with the car. I think it was a belief in him.
He had this great personality that would persuade people that they could work miracles for him.
I mean, I didn't see him very often, but he just looked like a film star.
He had this charisma. He could have done anything.
Quite a good-looking man, you know.
He looked a different class to the rest of us, you know, the tan skin.
Grey hair.
So tall.
He had that aura of glamour.
Thin.
Certainly photogenic.
He looked the part.
This was this great man that I'd read about, and here he was in front of him.
And his wife was certainly photogenic.
Big, tall, leggy woman. And when she came around the factory, it was just down toes.
She was one of the top models in the world. To use that saying, she was a spectacular looking woman.
Both had huge charisma.
At that time, when the company was on the up, and it was quite easy to tell us how wonderful it was. And I think it was quite easy for us to believe how wonderful it was.
Things were going well. The DeLorean spent £350,000 on luxury homes in Belfast for themselves and their associates. But Christina DeLorean's first and only visit was interrupted by hunger strike protesters, and she never came back.
The story was that he was frightened to live here in case he was captured by the IRA.
I can tell you quite clearly that there was no threats.
We get threats all the time. We have sniper shots that have been fired at DMC executives.
It would not be in the interests of either the nationalist community, the Catholic community, or the IRA to harm John DeLorean.
We've had fire bombings, 140 fire bombings since the plant has been built.
I think myself that perhaps DeLorean maybe wanted to use it as a bit of an excuse.
Certainly they've created an element of instability. Naturally, all the people are nervous, and we've had fairly high absenteeism and a pretty substantial loss of efficiency during this period of time.
I think we had one bullet through the water tower, but that could have been fun rather than anything else. It was a little tricky when we came back on the night Bobby Sands died. I had to find my office had been burnt down, amongst other things. As Harold Macmillan might comment, a little local difficulty.
I think it was quickly realised that if we allowed the troubles outside to come onto the shop floor, then there was a danger that the whole thing could collapse down around us.
The only politics we have is the fact that everybody prior to it, the vast majority of people are unemployed.
We had been told there's not going to be any bunting, there's not going to be any union flags, there's not going to be any pictures of the Pope, there's going to be no pictures of the... We're going to keep all that out. That's politics. Leave that outside the factory. When we're in here, you can put pictures of a car up. That's what we're here to do, build cars.
Everybody was working for one cause and one cause only. And probably most people's causes too was that it was given a half-decent wage and a better living than what they had before.
The hunger strikers were dying. We could see people on the television at these funerals, people who were working in the factory. And as well as that, there were orange men and loyalists working, all in the same squad. And these people sat together and got on well together.
It was a big effort not to allow religious or political sympathies to get in the way of doing a good job. And I have no fault to find that at all. In fact, it was one of the things which was encouraging at a pretty grim time.
Have you had cause to regret your choice of Northern Ireland as a manufacturing base?
No, we're absolutely sold on the people. You have a very highly motivated workforce who are dedicated, who are skillful, and who are interested. And all things being equal, I can't think of a better place in the world for us to build the kind of car we want to build.
Finally, in January 1981, the first DeLorean inched its way down the assembly line. John was proving his critics wrong.
This was the first time that anybody had really seen a car, and here it was growing in front of us. So we saw the panels going on and the front fenders, I suppose I should say, it was an American car, the front bumpers and back bumpers, and then the doors being fitted on. The car was growing just in front of you, and it really was exciting because a lot of other people from other departments